What's up, guys? It's Guy McFly. We're tuning in here chatting about Legion's Realms of War. Today we're actually doing part 2 of my Learn to Play series. This is Legion's Realms of War Learn to Play part 2. We're doing the stack. I've decided to do the Dwarf deck. I think it really shows the stack well. And I think there's been some players maybe shying away from it. So I'll show you how it works. I'll show you why it's so awesome, and how maybe you can use the stack to your advantage to outthink and outwit your opponent here. So let's hop right into it. Okay, first things first, I've picked out about 6 cards here. Most of these are random, but there are a few I've just grabbed off the top of my deck. Or a few that I've picked out just to emphasize how to play. The main one here being Into the Blast Forge. So this card is a static effect. And static effects work in this game where each time something happens, the effect goes onto the stack. Now I think where people get really confused is where on the stack it happens and where and when you can respond. So we'll definitely get right into that here. So to show off, I'm going to start with a conscript for turn of Quartermean, the Blastforge Elder Druid. He has an ability called Wisdom. The conscript technically triggers into the Blastforge on the second stack. The Wisdom then goes on the second stack. The Wisdom resolves first, and then the Into the Blastforge resolves. So Wisdom's going to resolve. I'm going to look at the top 2 cards in my deck. I'm going to put one in my hand and the other at the bottom of the deck. Then Into the Blastforge triggers, allowing me to reveal the top card of my deck. Now your opponent cannot respond to the Into the Blastforge trigger. Now in this instance I revealed Welcome to Wintertide. For the sake of the video, I'm going to reveal a couple of cards here and reveal Quidex the Blastforge Honor Bringer. Now as a 5-power warrior with no effects, Into the Blastforge simply activates and reveals the top card of my deck, sending it to the bin. So as you can see, it can trigger off and get quite effective. I also have a card in my hand that allows me to search for 3 Blastforge warriors, put them on top of my deck prior to my conscript, which allows me to get a lot of fill my board, get a lot of hand advantage, and this is really off 3 cards out of your hand. So really cool ways to trigger off the stack. Now there are going to be some instances where you can use the stack to your advantage on your opponent's turn, and we're going to pretend that I have Radoka's Prayer Gauntlet on my side of the field face down, and I'm going to pretend that my opponent's done a great job and cleared my board here. So I have no cards on my side of the field, no warriors anyway, and my opponent is free to attack Quartz Heart. Now what I do is I respond with my Radoka's Prayer Gauntlet. It allows me to reveal the top 3 cards of my deck. If they're for each, well, I can conscript all the Dwarf Warriors from among them and add all the other cards to my hand. Now this is all on your opponent's turn. This is all on their attack declaration. And this is not preventing damage. What you're doing is responding to the attack. The attack then can either be redeclared on a warrior, or they can choose not to attack. So it's really, really simple, really straightforward in that sense. So in this instance, Blastforge Melt Cannon gets added to my hand, and I get to conscript 2 warriors at the same time. Now Into the Blastforge goes on the stack, and so does the Wisdom Retrieve. So I'm going to retrieve Melt Cannon, and I'm going to Wisdom. I'm going to add Blastforge Melt Cannon to hand, and I'm going to put the other card on the bottom. And then Into the Blastforge activates. And I get Franz. Technically there's another Into the Blastforge on the stack, so I have to do another. Stoga Frost, the Blastforge Flamesparker. So now I have 2 interplays and another Into the Blastforge, and this is all still but your opponent is declaring an attack. And they can interrupt this stack with their own unifieds. They can prevent this stuff from happening. But as you can see, this really interrupts and gives you a lot of play lines to stop and overpower your opponent. So I think it's a really cool thing to mention as far as how the stack resolves. You'll see other cards like Rapture on Mount Bane with a static effect. Each time a card is discarded, you can destroy a card on the field. In those instances, you activate a card that discards. Generally, those cards will also have a discard effect. Those go on the stack at the same time as Rapture on Mount Bane. The discarded card activates first, and then Rapture resolves. What this does is it makes sure the power cards are kept under control. Throughout this, technically you can only respond to the card effects that are activating. You cannot respond to the static effects directly. So in this instance, you could respond to my wisdoms, you could negate the conscripts, but you cannot negate the static effect revealing the top card of the deck. You would have to destroy it prior to the conscription or negate the effect on activation. So really simple, really easy to remember. I think if you have any questions relating to specific instances, I refer you to the Discord. The Legions Realms at War Discord is a great resource for ruling questions, deck building, learn to play. I'll post that link in my video below. I really appreciate all of you guys liking, subscribing, supporting, and I'll continue to make this sort of content to help build this awesome game that we're all loving so much. As of this video, we're about 8 days away from Empires on the Rise release. So we have a lot of opportunity to bring not only new players into the game, but show existing players that are learning the stack, how to win and succeed at their local campaigns, win those prize mats, win those campaign promos, and show off why this game is so awesome. So like and subscribe. Thanks for your time, and have a great day.